Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Raising Cane's River Center in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, for our continuing coverage of the 2017 USBC Queens. This is Bold TV on Extra Frame, along with Aaron Smith and Jason Thomas. My name is Emile Williams Jr. We welcome you inside this wonderful 44-lane facility, of course, built inside the Convention Center, home of the USBC Women's Championships. Also hosted the Intercollegiate Team and Singles Championships, as well as the NCAA Women's Bowling Championships. You are watching C-Squad qualifying, round number 1. 5 games for the squad, and then we will be done for the day. Each squad will bowl 5 games a day. After the final squad on Saturday, we will move into bracket, or match play bracket, I should say, the top 64. Really, the top 63 is the defending champion, Bernie Slim from Singapore, has an automatic spot into match play. Can do no worse than be seated 64th. Of course, has the opportunity to improve her standing through qualifying. Right now, you are watching 27 and 28, Karen Marcano of Venezuela, and Wei Fin from Singapore, the reigning PWBA Rookie of the Year, and your reigning Smithfield PWBA Tour Champion. Wei, part of Team Singapore. We got to know a lot about and learn about last season. Their team was strong, of course, here at the Queens. In fact, they have 8 players this week. This will be their last event as well, Team Singapore. They bowled in Sacramento last week in Fountain Valley. And this will be their final event so far, at least for the time being. We're on 29 and 30, Sydney Brummett, Sid the Kid, along with Elise Bolton and Summer Jasmine. Start things out here in game number 1. Big thanks to our gold partners for the sponsorship of the USBC Queens, Columbia 300, Hammer, Storm, and Kegel. Kegel, of course, the official lane maintenance provider for the PWA Tour and the USBC events. They put out a 41-foot pattern this week. 27 milliliters of oil, the Kegel Fire conditioner used here this week. At the time, your current leader is Lindsay Boomershine. Will that change? Well, we'll find out. It certainly could. A squad leader was Shannon Pluhowski. Boomershine opened up things in game 1 of B squad qualifying this afternoon with a 280 game. And essentially did not look back, as the old saying goes. Plus 203, an average of 240.60 for Aiden's mom. In the top 5, couple other B squad players. Daria Payuk is second at plus 173. The aforementioned Shannon Pluhowski again at plus 141 in third. Josie Ernest Barnes in fourth at plus 133. And a tie for fifth place, Rocio Restrepo and Michelle Sterner at plus 130. If this is your first time checking out Extra Frame, I'll say thank you, certainly, for watching on behalf of Extra Frame, the online bowling channel of the Professional Bowlers Association. Thank you to the PBA. If this is your first time tuning into PWBA competition, I'll say thank you again. We appreciate your viewership. Good shot by Karen Marcano. We appreciate your viewership and your support of the PWBA. This is the first major of the season for the PWBA Tour. Our second is just about 4.5 weeks away. Will take place in Green Bay, Wisconsin at the Go Bowling PWBA Players Championship at the Eschwalpanon Bowling Alley. And leading up to that point, we will have the Wichita Open, the Pepsi PWBA Lincoln Open, and the Greater Detroit Open. So we'll hit the Midwest after we crown the champion of this event and a couple more via our tape shows from California. If you're unfamiliar with the PWBA Tour, I encourage you to sit back, relax, and strap it down. It's PWBA bowling on Extra Frame. Got to keep your eyes open here, because in game one of B Squad, we looked up and we got through our open, and essentially there were 290 games and 270 games and 260s and 280s all over the place. And we don't want to miss that, as Summer Jasmine almost gave that Greek Church a run there. But so far it looks like April Ellis bowling her first event on tour this season, and Stephanie Martins both begin with the front five.
Hey, Emile. Don't forget about Deandra Aspady on 13 and 14.
Well, let's see. There you go.
2012 Queens champion, starting off 6 for 6.
How about that?
I got you, man. I got you.
My man. If you are not following the PWBA Tour, please be sure to do so. You can first like our page and follow it, of course, on Facebook at PWBA Tour. That's also the handle on Twitter and Instagram. Just to our left, good spare from Sarah Willie. Part of the dual national champion, McKendree Women's Bearcats. All right, keeping up with our status of our fronts. D, 9 spare in the 7th. Deandra proudly represents Northwest Indiana, although she lives in Chicago. Northwest Indiana, of course, a place where Aaron is very familiar with.
That's true.
Deandra originally from Dyer, where her family is from, but again, living in Chicago.
Grew up bowling at Stardust 3 in Dyer on Sheffield Avenue. Spent some time there myself. Did not go on to do as cool things as Deandra, though. So it doesn't just happen automatically. Got put in the work. Time.
You have to put in the work, and she certainly did that, along with her sister, Cassie. Pretty good family there. She grew up and had a family of her own. A couple kids, Matt in Jersey, along with husband John, a bowler himself, and a very good chef. Final note about Deandra, until she hits our featured pairs. She is a White Sox fan. Just wanted to point that out and let it be known for any Cubs fans who may be approximately one chair length away from me at the moment.
So we just doubled the amount of fans right there?
Look at the little jokey joke. The little jokey joke for the Cubs fan.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not the one with the W flying in my front yard.
The guy wins the World Series after 180 years, and all of a sudden, you know.
You're the one who brought it up both times, so I'm
right.
just saying. I wasn't here. I wasn't throwing it out to begin with. You're instigating.
I just wanted to let it be known.
And I just
wanted to let it be known.
I'm following up with facts.
Hey, whatever you want to do.
That's what I'm doing. Bringing facts to the table. Facts. Like April Ellis has 7 in a row. Fact.
April Ellis had to work yesterday, from my understanding, and so she missed practice and comes right in.
We're talking about practice, though.
With their front seven. Clearly, Allen Iverson's right. I mean, we talking about practice, not the game.
Practice. Cruising right along on our feature pair. New Wave Fenn running into some troubles here early on the fresh. Few opens, few splits. Max out at 1 of 49. Karen Marcano, however, working on 3 in a row. That shot not going to have a chance. We saw that in the fresh earlier. Definitely no forgiveness if you get that ball right off your hand. On the burn, maybe, but.
Very good point, Aaron Smith. This is the fresh. Aaron squad was the B squad today. A squad bowled on fresh. Now 8 in a row, or excuse me, 9 in a row, I beg your pardon, for April Ellis. And Jason Thomas is now in position.
The question is, are you ready if need be?
I am.
All right.
I am. Ready, willing, and able to assist via the exit row.
Jason Thomas is so cool, he barely had to walk over to get set up. Like, we get the call here, we're down between seats trying to get around people, but his stuff's so cool, it's like, just gonna hang out in the third row for a second.
Sounds like the name of a good show.
Hang around for a few seconds?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
What'd you say, the third row? Hang out in the third row?
Maybe. I don't pay attention a lot when I talk, so I just ramble and forget.
Word. 2:15 for Karen Marcano. And away. Aaron mentioned a little trouble. A double in the 10th frame. Much needed.
All right, appears April's up, so after Sydney's shot here, want to switch over?
Switch it on over.
All right, Sydney, 9th frame. After the nice washout, comes back. She likes this place a little bit. But we're going to switch over to April Ellis now. Far right of your screen. Working on 9 consecutive strikes. Kick off a C squad. That was pretty light to get the 7 out.
I think so.
They got the 7 out. All right. There's 10. We had Lauren Payton connect on the front 9 during the last squad. She left a 10 pin her first shot of the 10th. April made it one further. Karen Marcano 215. New Way Finn 148. April Ellis at 10 consecutive strikes. Looking for 11. That one light. 2 pin standing for sure. Just the 2 pin, so be 300. First 300 of the USBC Queens. We'll have to wait for at least another game.
Although she has officially eclipsed Samantha Shaden, having the highest game on the PWBA Tour, or in a PWBA Tour event this season.
Now I know you feel me looking at you right now, because
you're right.
You know that's not true.
That is not true anymore. You are correct.
All right.
That honor now belongs to Sherry Tan. B squad earlier today. It's too many scores.
Too many scores.
Too many scores. Too much juice. Too much sauce.
Or one too many oysters. You had 1 oyster, so.
I did have one, and that was one too many. Indeed it was.
However, for anyone listening who may be in the Baton Rouge area or is coming for the USBC Women's Championships perhaps, or maybe you're just checking out the TV shows on Tuesday, not too far away from the Raising Cane's River Center. Shout out to Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Cool staff, good food, especially if you like oysters.
It's pretty solid, indeed.
Not an oyster guy myself. Tried one. It was It was interesting.
It was. First time too.
That might have been my first time as well. So I was cautious. But our waitress, Keely Marie, she said, "Gotta do it." So jumped right in there.
Can't do it. But
Did
we
one.
Did it.
Didn't get that for the full meal. I feel that would have been wasteful. But Jason Thomas, however, had some extra. So Sydney Brummett, nice 222 to kick things off. Summer Jasmine, 174. Elise Bolton turns into a double.
He's both looking for a triple push.
So the spare can get her to 170. Talking a little bit about Deandra Aspady. Got to 235 that game, ended up having an open in the 8th frame, but didn't strike after that front 6. Oh, I lied. She had 1 strike. Kick off the 10th.
All right. Danielle McEwen. Did you mention Danielle McEwen?
I did not.
Danielle shot 279.
Oh, that's cool.
In game 1.
It's cool to do cool things, and shooting 279 in game 1 is pretty cool. It got really quiet in here. Maybe because there's 0 bowling going on. Is this an international event? Are we stopping and resetting after every game? This is uncanny. I don't know how I feel about this.
Everyone just about finished at the same time. That's exactly how we drew it up.
Whoa. I'm really uncomfortable right now with nothing happening.
That worked out.
Emile Williams Jr. Everybody.
It went a different way in my head.
All right, we're preparing for game 2 here at C Squad, round 1 of qualifying at the 2017 USBC Queens. Every other event we have has like 2 words there. I was ready for a second word after Queens, but it's just Queens, just one. Doesn't need any more names. So big shout out. You can see it right there on extra frame to our gold industry partners. I think everyone's afraid to start, but big shout out to Kegel, Storm, Columbia 300, and Hammer for their continued support. Kegel, of course, the official lane maintenance provider. Somebody bowl. Shayna Ung is going to bowl. All right, thanks, Shayna.
Yeah, I think that was not sure if people knew what was. Thought maybe
Like that got out of hand quickly.
they were kind of waiting for like the signal. Or
It's like you're waiting for the bell.
ding, ding. As Apollo Creed once said. And Rocky 3.
Did they ever determine who won that fight?
I don't think so. I think you'd have to watch Creed though to even get a remotely close answer to that question.
It is a quality movie.
It is.
All right, game 2 underway. We're back to having sound on. And the crashing of pins pair of Wichita
Rashing
State
defense.
Shockers on 27 and 28. And Laura Plazas and Ashlyn Herzberg. They're joined by Samantha Kelly, a ITC champion at Robert Morris, Illinois back in 2014. Over on 29-30, we have Claudia Meeks. Was it Stephanie Martin?
Yes.
Is that how you said that earlier? Martins. Who shot 252 in the opener.
From Brazil.
And the lady who started it all for us, Shayna Ung from Singapore. Saying, somebody throw a shot. It's going to be me. 214 for Shayna in the opener. Has found success in this tournament in the past. 2013 made the TV show. Kind of let everyone know domestically here. So that was kind of a breakout performance for us in the United States seeing Shayna, but she's been doing cool things for way longer than that. Big thank you to everyone for joining us throughout the day and in advance for throughout the week here on Extra Frame. 3 rounds of qualifying, 3 days of qualifying. Before we get to the double elimination match play bracket, business will really pick up then. Of course, we'll go all the way down until we know our final 5 to make the Stepladder finals. So thank you for your support of Extra Frame as well as the PWBA Tour. Shout out to Chris Castro, watching all the way up in Michigan. Sending a note. We saw a variety of angles being played in the early going on the fresh. Seen that here as well. Herzberg attacking the lanes from the left side. Shamplowski found some success leading A squad, getting to plus 141. Dropped a few spots after B squad. Lindsay Boomershine taking care of business. Big 280 to start and rolled from there. On her way to averaging more than 240 to the top spot in the standings. With 1 block to go for the day.
And if you're curious about the lane pattern, be sure to check that out. bowl.com/Queens, also pwba.com/live. .feet. 27.78 milliliters of oil. Could check out the graph. Danielle McEwen off to a pretty good start again here. Double, 9 spare strike. Yeah, it's weird to say, but Danielle's she's about due for a breakout.
That is weird to say.
It is. And this is just based on the the first 3 events. Of course, she did make a TV show.
Additionally, another point for that comment. So
it happened at the Storm Sacramento Open. Yeah, that's the one. But that comment really is really about the way she has bowled. And not that she's bowled bad, but she mentioned to me after she made the show, for her, she just really needed to reset mentally, and she felt that after bowling well and but before that, kind of getting some things to go well for her to bowl well, and talking with some of her reps, she finally kind of felt that she could kind of step out of the way mentally. So it would not surprise me, if she put up some big numbers. Of course, this is a match play tournament, really qualifying for seeding purposes, so you never know what can happen in match play. But yeah, in those terms only, I feel that be a good breakout for her. It's kind of like in like a sport like a baseball or softball or even basketball. You're 1-4 whatever in a slump, and you go to the cage, you get 500 shots up again, and all of a sudden have a quick talk with coach, and you're kind of back on it. Next thing you know, you're in a 30-game hitting streak.
That's a lot of games.
There's a lot of games.
I thought you start off a little slower there, work your way into it.
No. You did start slow. You're like 1 for 20.
1 for 20, but you have another 0 in there. Like,
no,
you make it like 6 games, you're feeling good. I have one day where you're not seeing the ball the right way, and then
we're talking about Danielle McEwen.
I thought we were talking about baseball.
Well, we were. It all derived from the breakout performance coming for Danielle McEwen.
That leads me to my next question. As the resident guru at the Professional Women's Bowlers Association, you got this chance to see these first 3 weeks, and we talked about the round table, breakout performers. Who have you? I mean, all these ladies out here, very good, very talented, but who's kind of surprised you in a good way in these first 3 weeks? Kind of someone who's just kind of said, hey, new year, new me, and has really come out firing this first 3 weeks. Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Sure. I would, it's tough to say because everyone hasn't bowled really all 3 events. The first 3, for example. I mean, you could say Brandy Branca for just on the merit of making a TV show, being the second seed, a few pins behind Rocio on what probably will be, I have no idea, but what probably would be the toughest condition they will see this season. One of my actual, well, two of them, incidentally, Diana Zavialova making the show as well. Not on that pattern, but at the Storm Sacramento Open, essentially getting over the hump for her, breaking through after some bad luck last season and missing several shows and finishing 5th 3 times and 7th 2 times and that kind of thing. I thought she bowled really well the first week and finished 5th, and then got it together and did what she had to do the next week. Shannon Plahowski, I mentioned this when we talked about the roundtable initially. Both of those players really don't necessarily fit the criteria of breakout per se. But I thought for them both, it was really just about, for Diana specifically, getting to TV, and then for Shannon winning a title. And I think that would happen, or that will happen at some point this season. Beyond that, I think it's been a collection of a few players. Stephanie Martins honestly has been, she's bowled pretty well the first three weeks or so. Looks like to me, looks like a little different player. More so, you can kind of tell when people are confident. They kind of know what's happening, and they're not afraid of any moments or anything like that. You just kind of look up in the standings, and we've talked about this before, kind of the tour process essentially, where you make a few cashers rounds, and then you make match play, and then you slowly but surely get to the point where you can make a TV show. And I think, I think that's kind of that's the lane or the path she's headed. For example, you gotta get to, you gotta start with some TV, or excuse me, some cashers round. Lilia Robles bowled very well. She finished 9th. Again, on a very tough condition. I thought she bowled extremely well. Tanya Raumemper has been pretty good also. You can almost call Tanya, put her in the usual suspect category, because she's pretty solid all the time as well.
The usual suspects. Certainly can't argue with her track record over the years, starting at Wichita State. Made a TV show here at the Queens in 2014. And one show last year.
Yep, at the Greater Detroit Open. I would say also Missy Parkin has gotten off to a very good start.
She's been bowling well, yes.
That to me, that's not a surprise. It's probably to anyone, obviously. But again, just, with the return of national television, that's kind of the first thought. Hey, I didn't see this person on TV. They must be not bowling well. What doesn't mean that? It just means that, the breaks didn't go their way to get to TV. Doesn't mean that they're not bowling well. And I would say Missy is certainly bowling well. Has made a couple match plays, just missed it last week. And I don't think there's any doubt that she will make TV at some point here in 2017. And if I had to pick one more, again, it'll be difficult just because everyone hasn't bowled all 3 events, and some aren't here this week. So it's a little tough, but let's see. Oh, excuse me, Robin Renslow. Robin Renslow has been bowling very well. Robin finished 14th in Sacramento. And then Fountain Valley, I recall, I know she was near the top of the standings a few times throughout, but during qualifying, but ended up making the cashers round as well. Then, yeah, Robin made a couple cashes around. So a couple cuts, you know, but again, it's when we talk about rookies and the process and everything like that, I would say she, along with Amanda Fry, off to the very good start in that category.
Excellent assessment of the first 3 weeks right there.
I was gonna say, does that help you? Does that help you out at all?
That certainly does. There were a few names I expected to hear in there. A few that kind of, I would say, caught me off guard, but things that you get to see being out here every week. I think the confidence you mentioned, you know, when a player just kind of has it. Pretty cool to see that leap, if you will.
I think this could be a conversation we could also have at every major, essentially, because the majors are really a good opportunity to recap the previous 3 standard events, basically. And then in the case of the Players' Championship, we could essentially say, hey, okay, at this point, most people would have probably bowled at least 3 events. And so it gives you a better understanding and an idea of who's kind of doing what and where and how, as opposed to, you know, we can go and recap each event and, you know, there'd be 2 to 3 players you'd look at, but they all may not have bowled all 3 events. One more name I'd probably throw in would be probably Ashley Galante as well. Cashed a couple times. Again, starting to really look as like very, very comfortable. And again, really, you know, getting it confident. Last year, she would be just a few pins from making the cashers round, and she's already made 2 of those. So again, that process of working your way through
those small stepping stones. Moving closer and closer as we move closer to the end of game 2. Danielle McEwen looking like she's going to be pacing C squad after 2 games, after 279 in the opener, going to be in the 230s. April Ellis had the big 288 with the front 10. A little bit slower start in game 2. 2 opens through 8 frames. Looks like she can strike out to get to 200 on the nose with the last 5 strikes. Or I got the one in the 8th. There's a nice shot from Samantha Kelly. She tightened up her angles a little bit there.
At least Danielle won't hit the feature pairs per se, but she'll be a little bit closer to us. She'll be on 25 and 26 coming up. Tell you who will be on the feature pair coming up, Aaron Smith.
Hey, that's me.
Well, you won't be.
But I'm here in spirit.
You
behind
are
the feature pairs.
How about that? Julia Bond.
How about that? Well, I can say this word. Unfortunately for Julia, minus 92 after 2, so she's going to be looking to find a look here. Shot 152 in game 2 over on 21 and 2. Said 2 a lot there.
That's rare. You don't really see that too often, of course, from Julia Bond, one of the can't recall if her junior or youth career is complete. at this point?
That's a good question. She won the under 20 junior gold in 2013, I believe, or the under 20 division, I should say. Still a member of Junior Team USA for 2017. That doesn't necessarily mean she's given up her youth status since that's an age-based program. And she can be bowling this event, receiving any money going to the SMART program, or her SMART fund. But I feel she just wrapped up her junior year at Nebraska. Was a freshman in 15 when they won the NCAA bowling championships.
Sounds about right.
Helped the Cornhuskers back there in 2016, where they fell to Stephen F. Austin. Back there once again at this very bowling center just last month. Unfortunately for Nebraska, another runner-up finish as McKendree captured their first NCAA title in the finals. .224 for Laura Plazas, Samantha Kelly, tough 144, Ashlyn Herzberg 161, Claudia Meeks 169, Stephanie Martins 193, and Shayna Ung 211. So game 3 coming up next here on Bowl TV on Extra Frame at the 2017 USBC Queens, taking place at the Raising Cane's River Center in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm Aaron Smith alongside Emile Williams Jr.
Game 3 already, huh? See, there it is again.
Just happened, just like that.
Couple of pairs finishing up. And looks like that's our defending champion, Bernie Slim, shot 225 in game 2. LEI Jams had splits in the 8th and 9th frames. 9 spare in the 10th. Phil shot provides what looks to be 8, 177. But we know Jolie O'Grady will be bowling on 27 and 28. Along with Stacy Cox. Stacy from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Get the early tip from our man Kent Lowe. Let us know early on.
That's what he does, though. Takes care of us.
And we will have the defending champion. Queen Bee, as Jazz Real Tan said to me last week.
Queen Bee, I like that.
Indeed. Bernice Lim.
Despite being all the way across the globe, very punctual and answering emails as well. So much appreciated.
Tell you what, that goes a long way. Get extra points from us in that category.
Absolutely. Talked to Bernice for a little bit just about the upcoming title defense. I know earlier, if you caught the Lindsay Boomershine video posted by Jason Thomas on the USBC and PWBA Facebook pages. Lindsay nursing a knee injury, kind of getting back to closer to 100%. So she actually took off the last 2 weeks. Bernice also having some knee issues coming back. A PWBA member here in 2017, but this will be her only stop. At least as of now. You never know. But only scheduled stop here in the States. Going to focus on some international events coming up. Those events include, had to look up the article, I didn't remember. The Southeast Asian Games. Those are coming up in August. And finally the World Bowling World Championships. I believe those just got moved to November and December. Originally scheduled for December in Kuwait. Looks like those got moved to Las Vegas at South Point. Taking place from November 24th to December 4th.
Well, you mentioned Bernice being a member this year. And just about as of everyone part of Team Singapore. And Bernice does, if she happens to defend her title, just to make sure it's that official from a tour perspective. Chelsea Barr, Allie Ijams, and Julia Bond. 29 and 30. Bold prediction time, Aaron Smith.
Bold prediction.
Danielle McEwen will shoot, or will have, 800 after 3 games. We'll have an honor score.
That is a bold prediction indeed. Seeing that Danielle through 3 frames has gone strike or spare, strike, strike. Therefore meaning she needs the next 8 strikes in a row to do so. And then at least 4 pins on her fill ball. I'll give her the 4 pins on the fill ball. Danielle leading C squad plus 116 through 2. She has 1 pair to our left over on 25 and 26. 2015 Tour Championship winner. Made the TV show last year.
Nice spare from Allie. Little 210 action.
I think a note that we talked about a lot last year. Haven't mentioned much this year, but Stepladder finals at the 2016 event held in Las Vegas. Stepladder finals, 5 players, 5 different countries represented, which was pretty darn cool. Definitely the ultimate showcase of the global impact the sport has. The field well represented once again on the international side. Although it appears our top seed from last year's Stepladder finals, Sweden's Sandra Andersson, not in attendance. So actually taking a quick look, it appears Sweden is not making an appearance here at the Queens. So hopefully we'll get to see them throughout the season. Maybe they're planning on coming a little bit later. Maybe U.S. Women's Open time. So we know we have a few new members. Jenny Wegner, who won the World Cup, defeating Team USA's Danielle McEwen. late last year. Of course, Sandra, well-known name over the years. Nice shot there from Julia.
Watched a lot of Julia Bond behind the scenes, if you will. We share a coach. And so, although my competition level is not nearly the same as it once was, when I was at the bowling center, stop by and pay a visit, Julia was generally there, putting in the work.
Yeah, it certainly has paid off, and can't tell you how many times at the NCAA Women's Championships she found herself in, must-strike situations. Arguably the most memorable in a crazy run of events that happened. There was a foul committed by the University of Nebraska. Their match against Maryland Eastern Shore was an elimination match. And they ended up tied after 7 Baker games. And so, due to the infraction, Nebraska had to bowl the back half. They bowl essentially frames 6 through 10 in a tiebreaker situation. And Nebraska had to bowl without or receiving 2 zeros for the 7th frame. So obviously Maryland Eastern Shore at an advantage at that point. They ran into some trouble. And the ball got in Julia Bond's hands in this just incredibly wacky situation, what it was. And went up there and threw 3 of the purest strikes you will ever see to keep her team in the mix. So we see the minus next to her name at the moment, but would not be surprised to see a lot more of that. Get right back into the mix here.
She's a competitor. She's a fighter. She's fierce. So is Allie Ijans. Did you know that Allie won a state title? Helped coach her high school squad? I'm pretty sure it's Derby High School in Kansas to a state championship.
I did not know that.
Giving back in other ways to our sport while a competitor, of course, herself.
Hashtag the more you know.
Indeed, bro.
Speaking of the more you know, you said you were going to buy dinner if Danielle McCune did not shoot 800, right?
That is not correct.
Oh, I thought I remember hearing.
Incorrect, Cotton.
Well, Danielle's run at 800 has come to a close. Back-to-back spares in the 4th and 5th frame. Not to take away from anything she's doing out there on the lanes, because she's taking care of business. Great shape here in the early going. Qualified 3rd last year. Had a good match against Bernice Lim. Bernice was in solid form, averaged 243 on the show for her 2 matches. all while solving a Rubik's Cube twice. Do not see said Rubik's Cube here in the early going, though.
It's probably retired.
Do you move on to a new game after that?
In the trophy case?
I don't know if I would. Is a Rubik's Cube a game? Is it? I feel it's a more of a.
It's a good question. It's a puzzle?
It's a puzzle.
Oh, make it.
Lim has left a few 10 pins here in game 3. Once again in the envious position as defending champion, guaranteed the number 64 spot in the double elimination bracket. However, she can use qualifying to improve upon that. But if she happens to have a rough 15 games and falls outside of the top 64, she is guaranteed that spot. Talked a little bit about the World Cup earlier, and Bernice Lim put on a pretty dominating performance there throughout qualifying and on her way to the championship round. Not a stepladder final, if you will, but a pair of semifinal matches. She ended up falling in the first one. Finished tied for third.
Jolie trying to figure some things out here. 28. Back-to-back splits in frames 5 and 6, and now a washout. He's on for 6 in a row. Ugh. Almost trouble.
Tanya Ramenper up to plus 90 after 3 games. Already in the books. Ball change for Bernice Lim. Good ball change. Unfortunate result, though.
Well, she smiled, which is the best that you can do. Chelsea Barr bowled collegiately. She started her career at Wichita State. And then about, what, 10 years at this point, I guess? Bowled again collegiately for Baker University.
How about that? I believe people are talking about you, Mr. Williams.
I know, that's why I'm not even looking that way.
The once quiet kid known as Emile Williams Jr. being exposed here at the 2017 USBC Queens. A singing, dancing, broadcasting machine. Sent back in time to
Back in time.
to help bring the PWBA back to life.
Oh, Grady.
Of course, along with USBC and BPAA back in 2014 for that 2015 season.
All right, Joe Lee's just really struggling on this right lane as Julia Bond puts another one down in the 10th frame. It's a big game for Julia here in game number 3. You know, here at the Queens, obviously, Aaron, as you well know, pinfall is for seeding. So all you're trying to do is get in the top 64. And match play is a completely different animal.
Absolutely. It's night and day. Very cliche, but it's... Players say the same thing too, and we got to ask them the question anyway. But it really is all about just getting to the dance. After that, 1 pair of lanes, 2 bowlers, 3 games, total pinfall. You never know. Yeah, sometimes it's a little bit of fortune of luck. Maybe you run into a few opponents who just not finding that pair, making a wrong ball choice or something like that, and skate by with 550s and 560s. Other matches, you need 770, 780 to win. So you just never know. But the right composure, right mentality heading into match play. A certain air of confidence. Even if you act like you've been there before, I feel that goes a long way. I mean, how intimidating is it drawing a Liz Johnson and a Kelly Kulick? Not even picking up a ball yet. They're already,
Yeah.
oh, they'd be in my head at least. They're like, holy cow.
Should definitely be mentally defeated already.
I mean, that's obviously something they've earned over the years from continued success. But to have that in your back pocket all along, just to walk up to a match, you know your opponent's probably tensing up a little bit already. .257 in the books. A quick swing from minus 92 to minus 35. I was going to say 35 too before it changed, I swear. For Julia Bond, Chelsea Barr 202, Allie Ijams 182. Stacey Cox in the books at 132. Bernice Lim didn't get to 193. .223 for that game for Danielle McCune, one pair to our left. She's at plus 139. That's a lot.
Yeah, not quite plus 200 like I thought, but it's okay.
Still has plenty of time to get there. For some reason, we were talking about Danielle's 3-game total. I thought this turned into a 6-game block all of a sudden, that we were at the halfway point.
Oh no, just 3 games, and here comes the quiet.
So uncanny. This really is a shout out to the great scheduling by Tennille Milligan.
Yeah, everyone has finished at the same time.
And it's awkwardly quiet again. Tennille, what'd you do? Bueller? 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 Anybody? Somebody? Why is nobody bowling?
Bueller.
Is anybody ready? The silence is deafening.
Who's going to be first?
Yeah, Adrienne Hare, she looks like she's... It could have been her. Ah, now she's going to walk back. See her crossing the screen there. Okay. Grace Hall. Going to get it going here. New Way Fenn. Bowling about at the same time there. And we're back to bowling. All right. I get so scared when it gets quiet.
I think this right lane's got a little hang spot on 28.
It did not look fun last game.
Yeah, Jerica Heibel's ball did the exact same thing we saw Jolie O'Grady's ball do a few times on this lane.
Joining Jerica on 27 and 28, we have Jazriel Tan, so plus 50, and Danielle Niddle, minus 33. Over on 29 and 30, Jennifer Dovers, Christina Zerbinski, and Stephanie Casey. Hey, Emile. Remember that time when it was really quiet? It's not quiet anymore. We're bowling. I can't believe that happened twice. Like the first game, I get. Well, you figure we got a few pairs of twos, few pairs of threes. It's so wacky. As we mentioned a few times, Danielle McCune at plus 139, pacing C squad so far through 3 games. Mentioned Jazzy Tan at plus 50 on our featured pair. Deandra Aspady at plus 64, 1 pair to our left. Tanya Romanpour plus 90. Some of the bigger scores, just taking a quick look across this 44-lane venue. April Ellis running into some trouble after the big start. She's down to plus 21. Again with a 288. Stephanie Martins plus 69. Jazzy Tan delivers in frame 2 after the split to kick things off. Winner of the 2015 PWBA Lubbock Sports Open. However, that win came when she was not a member of the PWBA. But still cool regardless. Collegiate standout at Wichita State as well. Of course, internationally with Team Singapore.
rest of our schedule for the PWBA Tour. After the Queens, again, we head to North Rock Lanes in Wichita, Kansas for the PWBA Wichita Open. That will be followed by the Pepsi PWBA Lincoln Open at Sun Valley Lanes in Lincoln, Nebraska. And then the Greater Detroit Open to be held at Super Bowl in Canton, Michigan. These are June stops, and that's followed or preceded by our second major in the Go Bowling PWBA Players Championship at the Schwabenon Bowling Alley in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Then on to the Orlando Open, St. Petersburg Clearwater Open. The Nationwide PWBA Rochester Open. The PBA of PWBA Striking Against Breast Cancer Mixed Doubles event, of course also known as the Lucy. U.S. Women's Open, and then the Smithfield PWBA Tour Championship, which of course is that event is a collection essentially of a season's worth of success for 16 players. Be held at the Richmond International Raceway as part of NASCAR Week. Well, very excited for that. Of course, last weekend was the Go Bowling 400. Several bowling and NASCAR dignitaries, of course, in attendance. In fact, Jason Thomas, Brant Houdt out there doing work. Talking to the likes of the Go Bowling driver of the 17 car last week, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Larry the Cable Guy was in attendance. Chris Barnes, I believe they went head to head at some point.
I'm going to say Barnes got her done then. Collected the victory.
Is that what happened?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't think it did.
I was just pairing the two people and catchphrases and bowling, and
I think I saw a clip or Twitter, or excuse me, an Instagram highlight. It was either I think Larry the Cable Guy had to strike. He did, and everyone went crazy. Went wild, the crowd. So we look forward to the season-ending event again at Richmond International Raceway. There'll be, I believe, 4 lanes built on the property, and a very interesting, a very cool event. And then, of course, when we get to that point and you realize the 2017 season is over, don't fret. Because if you missed it, a couple of weeks ago we did announce the PWBA 2018 schedule. We'll be heading to several new markets and venues. Some of those include the National Bowling Stadium.
I like that place.
Aaron does like that place, and so do I. That is where the USBC Queens will take place next season. And then some very different venues and, again, markets. East Hartford, Connecticut. We head to Louisville, Kentucky. The Louisville Open. We'll have the East Hartford Open. We back to Florida. Both stops there still on the schedule. We'll roll on to Oklahoma, Minnesota, and Ohio. So if any of those events sound good to you, or if they happen to be in your area, sure to check out pwba.com for all of the news. Of course, check out the sliders. We're still there. 2018 schedule. Click on it, and we're able to give you all of the information. Let's see, right now 64th place would be plus 13. Of course, long way to go, lots to be determined. But just to give you a sense, of course, the C game, or the C squad after 3 games. Danielle McEwen plus 139. Leader in the clubhouse for C squad. Good shot there for Heibel. Ted pin doesn't go. Wichita State shocker Olivia Sandham is off to our left. Pretty good cross there. Asbeatty, Sandham, and Angie Ramirez Perea. Utica popular in the field. Made the Queens telecast last season.
She bowled so well last year. It's kind of a, I think it was known, they talked about it, but kind of a what if. She was not at 100% by the end of that week. She was definitely feeling some, I think it was the knee that was bothering her. Definitely was not at 100% by the time he got to the stepladder finals. So her at 100%, she just crushed it that week. I think she either set or was pretty darn close to setting a few qualifying records along the way. Hopefully we have those somewhere to reference. We did save those records. How about that? Look at us. Birgit posted the second highest 15-game total in tournament history, 36.01 for her 15 games last year at the Orleans. Only Carolyn Dorn-Ballard recorded a higher pinfall. That was done so at the 2010 event in El Paso. Definitely a lot of big scores in El Paso at the Queens. Quick trivia time. Who is the top qualifier for the Stepladder Finals. #1 seed at the 2010 USBC Queens. Someone you know well.
2010?
2010, El Paso, Texas. The tournament was won by Kelly Kulick. It doesn't count if you Google it.
Please, I know a lot of people.
I know, but this one,
I'm not gonna Google.
not gonna Google. You often get to see them on a daily basis.
I'm gonna try to think outside the box here.
Daily basis.
I'm going to go with Neil Milligan.
How about that? Look at you go. That's my guy.
That was a pretty good. Think outside the box there. That wasn't that long ago.
That wasn't. Not that long ago at all. That was a buzzsaw of a performance by Kelly Kulick. Won 4 matches that day to capture the Queens. 2010, of course, arguably the banner year in the unbelievable career of Kelly Kulick. Not only the Queens, also won the U.S. Women's Open, and of course the Tournament of Champions that year as well. Kulick defeated Michelle Feldman, Missy Parkin, and Anne-Marie Dugan before defeating our very own tournament director in the finals.
Speaking of which, that does remind me. Last week at Fountain Valley, at Fountain Bowl, of course, the home of Neil Milligan, aforementioned. Obviously well known in the area, and I believe, if I can find it here in 1 second, but I know for a fact that pretty sure Barry Asher, of course, PBA USBC Hall of Famer, had a cash, well, not a cash check, but a check of the larger variety, the ones that you see on television. There it is. I just wanted to make sure we had the right year. I thought it was, and it was 2005. That the check was still in the pro shop.
Very cool.
And so we made her take a photo with it. She didn't want to. To be utilized at some point. Who knows? Today is Thursday.
Today is Thursday.
The old throwback.
Hashtag. Danielle McEwen finishing up game 4 Total of 3 opens for her. 3 opens, no spares, everything else strikes to get to 201. 2 splits and a single pin miss puts her at plus 140 now. So still has a chance to get to Boomershine's leading total. Gonna need a pretty big game though. 273 plus. I'd be even more impressed if she shot 273. Kristina Zerbinski grinding here in game 4. And 4 9 spares in a row. For delivering a strike in the 7th. She's up on 29, looking for her first double. Plus 29 coming in. It's kind of a chance to get up the hill. A little too much though. There's one thing I've noticed with this pattern, especially as you've gotten a few games on it, there's seems to be a lot of shots that are looking good for, or at least online, like they're going to hold for 45 feet, maybe a little bit more, and then there's just a spot. As you talked a little bit earlier about the spot with a little bit of wiggle room. It also seems to creep up just maybe a hair inside a target, and it's look good. You're thinking trip 4, trip 6 territory. Maybe if you're a little fast with it, it's dead flush.
It's a good point.
But I thought that was going to hold line there. Fortunately for Kristina, did not. Her first open. Still get to 203 though.
Some of the tricky nuances as we see this pattern more and more. Will we see some of the same things tomorrow? Maybe, maybe not. Depends. How some players choose to play the lanes tomorrow. Those who weren't successful per se, how much will they change? How much will it affect what others do? Perhaps those who did have success, so they not try to do too much, of course, but able to see it in a pretty good light on the first day and then have a better game plan as they move forward. From a ball perspective, arsenal, the varying transitions of what balls to go to, etc. But you never know.
And once again, just a great element of this tournament that makes it so unique is that, you know, when we talked to Lindsay earlier, she had a huge day on the burn, gets back-to-back days on the fresh. And she's built up a bit of a cushion after the strong start, to where maybe she can attempt a few more things than someone who maybe only goes plus 15 today, or goes minus today. Then all of a sudden they obviously have to look for the strikes here and now. Whereas Lindsay could go through the progression, go work through the equipment she has at her disposal. See a few different looks, maybe eliminate a few things, maybe add a few things in. And of course, bowling on the burn, you know, you could look at Shannon Pluhowski, who obviously plus 141, pretty solid with her game plan that she used today. So she knows that's probably going to be there. More or less, especially on the left side, you would think would probably be a little bit more similar just based off the amount of traffic on the lane. But she knows, these layouts work, these balls, these surfaces, whatever it may be. Maybe she ventures out, tries some different things. I already have it in the notebook. I know this stuff works. And maybe it gets better, maybe it's worse, maybe it's indifferent. Who knows? But decisions I'm glad I don't have to make, because I'm poor at decision making.
We'll find out shortly, of course, as the days move on. And then, of course, Sunday?
It is a day in the week, yes.
It could all look completely different after about a match or so.
Yeah, definitely a different element. The double burn kind of comes, I don't want to say irrelevant at that point, but probably not going to see that much traffic ever again, as you did in qualifying for that squad. So use that as an opportunity to get your pins, or in other cases, if you're stronger on the fresh, not to lose them. Julia Bond all the way down to -9 after we saw her at -92 after 2 games.
She's at 220 plus. That on 39 and 40. Game. What game is this?
We're finishing 4.
Well,
just like that. Christina makes the adjustment there, gets more into the mixer zone, gets the ball a little bit further left. Makes it a double. Gonna get up the hill. Makes it 3 in a row.
Anya Raumimper. Plus 67, off to a good start here in game number 5. 7 o'clock Central Time.
Cruising along. Christina finishes up 203 to get to plus 32. Stephanie Casey 190, Jennifer Dover's 175. All right, into game 5 on 27 and 28. There I mentioned Tanya starting off with a strike. She's joined by Catherine Rosthorn and Bernadette Woolley. Over on 29 and 30, Heather D'Erico and Grace Hall. Grace doesn't know it, but I'm in debt to her for ending the silence between games 3 and 4. So I'm glad we got to get her on extra frame here today.
Bernie from the Chicago area, actually from Chicago, I should say. She also went to Southern University, which is right here in Baton Rouge. Bowled collegiately there. Heather DeRico. Grace Hall, as Aaron mentioned. Don't forget, we'll be here with you all week. I guess we started later in the week, so throughout the weekend into early next week is probably a better description. Qualifying today, qualifying tomorrow, qualifying Saturday. And the match play portion of the bracket begins Sunday into Monday, and then of course Tuesday it is TV day. Don't forget, folks, if you haven't already, be sure to like us, follow us via social media, the PWBA Tour. Also at USBC, the Sport of Bowling USBC page on Facebook, Professional Women's Bowling Association Facebook page. at USBC on Twitter, at PWBA Tour on Twitter. At PWBA Tour on Instagram.
I feel like you've been doing cool things on Instagram today.
Yeah, I try.
I haven't looked yet, but I just
Try to,
people don't even know you're just doing your thing back here, and you're
try to do what I can from my location. We'll have some extra personnel early next week. So I have some more friends to assist us.
It's cool when friends assist.
Makes things sometimes go a little bit better, a little bit easier.
Looking at Danielle McEwen's score. Through the first few frames, she can max out at 260 this game. Best she can get to is plus 200, so I believe she was the only player in contention to run down Lindsay Boomershine, so it appears Aiden's mom going to lead day one here for the 2017 USBC Queens.
I feel this is the time where we would play the song "Here Comes the Boom, Here Comes the Boom." Yeah, I feel that Aaron Smith has no idea what I'm talking about right now.
That blank look in my face.
I've seen that look another time. That's a story for another day.
Perhaps.
All right, Aaron, here's the deal. This is off topic.
Off top.
All of our viewers, I mentioned those Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, social handles and such. Feel free to drop us a comment on the Live Now post. Let us know how you're doing. And if you even want to comment on what I'm about to say next.
There's so much anticipation and build up into this. I don't even know where to.
It's going to be a hard letdown after I get done with it.
All right.
But
bring me up only to tear me down. I see how it is.
Pretty much. So, I've been talking about my phone lately.
Yes, your phone that won't hold the charge.
And its lack of, I won't say it's not charging because it is, but it's just charging at a snail's pace. No disrespect to the great snails in the world. And I'm
already
just
peaked.
not sure what to do.
We're going downhill from here.
Besides, I know I need a power bank, right? That's what's hot in the streets. Or one of those power cases for your phone. And I was in Las Vegas for the Open Championships. I did purchase a little power bank, but as I told you, of course, guess what I did? I left the connection part in a bowling bag that I haven't used since
The Open.
the Open Championships. Didn't even open it. I mean, literally, there's tape on the box. So now, I'm in a situation where I mentioned Instagram. I go to take cool pics and videos, and guess what? No battery.
No battery.
Phone's been on the charger for about, I don't know, at least game 2. Probably, I want to say game 1. And still not getting it done out there. Bought a new cord. We'll try the old one now. See what happens. I mean, at this point,
can't hurt. That story did peak at the great snails of the.
I told you I was.
Like it got. You saved it for a little bit. The great snails of the world.
It really. I mean, no disrespect to. I mean, I love animals. I love all of our wonderful creatures on our planet. But if they have any ideas on how they can speed up the charging process, I'm all for it.
Well, to all of our great viewers, if we can help the man out.
I mean, help your boy out.
Help him out.
What's out there? What technology should I be purchasing? Because clearly I'm not winning in this situation.
It's all right. It's all right. That happens from time to time.
I'm taking the L.
But
okay, back to bowling.
I know Mike Donahue just checked in via text, so
What a guy.
I feel, not on that subject, on another one, but however, I feel he is very, very informative in such situations.
He's a very informative type of person.
So I tell him to text you, but your phone obviously can't hold a charge. So
well, some is better than none.
as we do settle back into the bowling, looking around this 44-lane venue, still appears Danielle McEwen will lead a C squad itself. Lindsey Boomershine is going to be our high qualifier through round one. Some other players putting on nice performances, though, putting themselves in good position. Looking ahead to the next 2 days, Deandra S. Beatty plus 65 after 4. Working on a few strikes in a row over on 19 and 20. Still get to 279 this game. 279 also the max for Christina Zerbinski. She's a few frames earlier in the 5th frame. Going to be stepping up in the 6th in the moment. She's at plus 32. We saw her finish up last game. Although Tanya missed the head pin in the 7th. Struck on 5 out of 6 shots before that. Don't forget, folks, as you prepare to head into your Friday, plenty more here on Bull TV on Extra Frame. We're just getting started. This is day one. Plenty of excitement left to come. 2 more days of qualifying to determine our top 63 players, along with defending champion Bernice Lim. Before we get into the double elimination match play bracket, that'll be Sunday and Monday. And then Tuesday, TV day. Be taping 4 shows. The first 3 stops of the 2017 PWBA Tour season, as well as the first major here with the Queens. Queens show going to air on the 23rd, 10 p.m. Eastern on CBS Sports Network. Those other shows coming up in the following weeks after. Another big schedule on CBS Sports Network, not just for the PWBA Tour, but for bowling in general. We got one more show from our collegiate grouping, the Intercollegiate Team and Singles Championships. The men's final is going to air on May 30th at 8 p.m. Eastern. And of course, Junior Gold, all those shows, USA Bowling Championships, all in store this summer, along with the PWBA. So don't let CBS Sports Network get too far away.
Very good day for Danielle McKeown.
Looks like plus 147. It's going to be the high number on the fresh. Shamplowski got to plus 141 earlier in the day. Pretty good shot there by Tanya. Just loses a little too much before he gets to the 1-3. Still going to have a chance to add on to that plus total. Tough break there for Birgit. Over on 26, you see the 7-10 standing. Looking at her second consecutive Open. It was minus 78 coming into this game. It's not going to add on to that. So after a near record-setting pace at the 2016 event, the young lady from Germany is going to need to get things going tomorrow.
Well, Aaron, how would you assess day one here as we come to a close?
It went quick. For 15 games of qualifying, cruised through pretty quickly. Some impressive performances from some big name players. Certainly not surprised to see names like Lindsey Boomershine, Shannon Pluhowski, Danielle McEwen near the top of the standings. Of course, there's a few other folks from B Squad. Daria Payuk, Josie Ernest Barnes. So not surprised, because we got some quality players there. I was intrigued by the quick pace we saw to start B Squad. Saw a lot of big scores out of the gates, and then those kind of tapered off. That's with the exception of Lindsey Boomershine getting to plus 213. I think if anything, especially here on the Fresh, and it's a major tournament, this should be the key, but shot making is what it's all about. If you're not making good shots out there, if you're missing, you're going to pay, maybe not the ultimate price, but if you're missing right on the right side, you're leaving buckets out there.
Well said.
So it's day one. You can't win it in day one. More cliches. I'm the king of them. But you want to come away from day one with feeling comfortable out on this in the environment. And obviously, Baton Rouge, humidity. You know, sometimes folks maybe don't feel comfortable on the approaches. I haven't heard anything. I don't know. Yay, nay, indifferent. But you want to feel comfortable in the venue. These ladies got to practice. They got their 5 games in today. And then you want to feel like you have something out there. You don't have to be plus 100. But you want to feel like, you know what? Maybe I'm sitting at plus 10, minus 15, something like that. But I know what worked. I know what didn't. I can make those adjustments, and I can make quality shots from there, and we'll be back in business.
And looking forward to tomorrow. And to see different squads, of course, when they hit the lanes. Or excuse me, hit the burn, I should say, is what I mean. That's tomorrow will be this one on the burn, and so you know, almost quote unquote could be a quick turnaround from what we see right now, and how we'll get an immediate comparison.
And of course, you know, in tournaments like this, you tend to see players start differently than they do in the first block. Players are usually a little bit more conservative on day one. Maybe for the reason I mentioned, maybe not. But that seems to be a trend. Players get a little bit more aggressive. They try to chase it a little bit quicker, which obviously affects those on the burn the next day. But the best part is we're going to get to see how it all unfolds here on Bowl TV on Extra Frame. So we are just about done. We are done. There's no more bowling going on. It's quiet again.
That is it, sir. Well, appreciate all of you for watching, all of our viewers. Big thanks to our tournament staff, to Neil Milligan, tournament director, Kathy Watka, assistant tournament director, our tour coordinator and merchandise manager, Kathy Kavicki. Big thanks to Jason Thomas and everyone involved, Greg Moore as well. So for all of our staff here, on site and away, on behalf of Aaron Smith, my name is Emile Williams Jr. We say so long until tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Again, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central. We'll be back with you. B Squad will hit the lanes on the fresh. They will see the fresh oil for the first time. C Squad tomorrow and A Squad in the evening. Again, one more time, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central. So we'll see you tomorrow, folks. Take care. Have a good night. It's been a presentation of the 2017 USBC Queens Bowl TV on Extra Frame. Good night, all.